Welcome to the Town of Douglas Planning Board meeting for Thursday, September 9th, 2021. The time is now 7:03. First item on the agenda is 7 p.m. public hearing, McIntyre Loan, definitive plan 210818. I'm going to pass it to the vice chair. I'll recuse myself, but stay on as an abutter advice, I guess.
Okay.
So if you want to read the hearing, I think this is it also.
Yeah.
And you have it in your, okay.
Yep.
Can open that up.
All right. So I'm going to read the notice for the hearing. Notice of public hearing, Town of Douglas Planning Board, in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 41, Section 80T and 81U, and the Town of Douglas Rules and Regulations governing the subdivision of land in Douglas, Section 4.2. The Douglas Planning Board will hold a public hearing on an application for a definitive subdivision plan. The proposed plan consists of 60 acres and contains 8 lots located at 100 Davis Street, map 168, parcels 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11-1. The property applicant is McIntyre Loom Incorporated, and owners are the Second Generation Partners LLC, Estate of Merritt D. Tatro, and J.A. Taylor Construction Company Incorporated. As shown on a definitive subdivision plan entitled Peter Michael Business Park, an industrial subdivision off Davis Street by Allen Engineering and Associates, dated August 9th, 2021. The public hearing will be held on Thursday, September 9th, 2021 at 7 p.m. in the Municipal Center, Resource Room, 29 Depot Street, Douglas, Massachusetts. A copy of the application is available for viewing in the Community Development Department prior to the meeting. Any person interested or wishing to be heard on the proposed application should appear at the time and place designated. Jacob Schultzberg, Vice Chairman, Douglas Planning Board. So I just want to give whoever's presenting an opportunity to present uninterrupted, and then get input from Eve, go around the table, get questions and comments from the board, and get some answers. I want to proceed that way. So,
Introduce myself.
name and address.
Tom McIntyre, the applicant,
Okay.
and our representative is actually up on the Silver Park down. You'll be
I've done
in
nothing on this project.
the presentation. Just introduce myself.
All right.
Thank you very much, Tom. Again, my name is Mark Allen with Allen Engineering and Associates. We are the civil engineers and land surveyors of record for the property. And I just wanted to kind of refresh the board's memory that this definitive subdivision is in addition to the preliminary subdivision that you all saw back in March and April of this year. So it was derived from a preliminary subdivision, and we have now dotted all of our I's, crossed all of our T's, and submitted a definitive set of drawings, I believe which is about a 13-sheet set, for this property off of Davis Street. To remind you, if I could possibly screen share, I'd like to kind of go walk you through the application material and the plan set that was submitted as part of the application, and I can kind of bring everybody up to speed. So I just hit screen share. I don't know if who has the authority to swap it. It says that it's been
Cable
disabled.
does.
Try it again, Mark.
Okay, there we go. We'll start there. Great. Can everybody see that on the screen?
Yes.
We're good.
Excellent. As I mentioned, this property is on the east side of Davis Street, highlighted in red here. It
Agreement.
is just south of the Hartford Ave Route 16 intersection, and just south of the high school in this location. It's comprised of 5 different parcels. Those 5 different parcels are shown here, and as indicated in the public hearing notice, they are owners of a variety of owners, being the Tatros and the Taylors primarily. The existing address for the 2 buildings that are on site are number 100 Davis Street. That's the best way to sort of recognize the property. The property is split in half almost with the Tennessee gas pipeline that goes in this location here. And to the east is other industrial land. To the south is other industrial land. There's wetlands to the south, and there's also wetlands to the north associated with the Dunleavy Brook in this location. It has both frontage on Davis Street and Monroe Street at this intersection, as you may recall.
Yeah, that's fine.
As part of the application, we submitted a bunch of material, and that material included the application for the definitive subdivision, all of the owners' acknowledgements and signatures, the designer's certificate, fees associated with it, and all of the typical flood insurance rate maps, the soil maps, the test pit logs, a copy of the deeds. So all of this information has been submitted electronically and via paper copies to the town. To go to the actual set of this, I'd like to just kind of back up a bit here and let you know that not much has changed from the preliminary subdivision application. It's always a good thing when you actually get on the ground and do all the calculations, and all of your assumptions were somewhat met. And the way the subdivision sheets read is that it's broken up into 3 pieces, so we can keep it at 40 scale drawings, the majority of which are in the 1 series, so the L1s, the E1s, the G1s, focus on the new proposed roadway. So I will kind of skip ahead and not bore you with the existing conditions, but we'll go to the proposed conditions. And in similar fashion to the preliminary, the definitive has an 800-foot long cul-de-sac that we are denoting as Legacy Circle inside the Peter Michael Business Park subdivision. That 800-foot long cul-de-sac will service 8 individual lots, 2 of which will be comprised of the existing 2 buildings. So the other 8 lots will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out the back, 7 for one of the buildings, and 8 as the other building. The basic zoning for the property allows for those 8 lots. It may not end up in that way, but we just wanted to show that for zoning requirements with 150 feet and 40,000 square foot area, that we could have 8 lots. It may come, a potential end user may come along and say that they want 2 lots or 3 lots, and they may merge together. So in that vein, I'll somewhat explain the utilities and how the utilities are going to work. They are going to be individually serviced by on-site septic systems and on-site wells at the moment. The property is, Davis Street does not have water and sewer gas out the street. Possibly in the future it may come, but as of right now it is not there. So the only infrastructure in the road is going to be the electrical, cable, and telephone in the street, as well as stormwater management. And the stormwater management system is only going to be for the proposed roadway. Each of the individual lots will need to collect, treat, and discharge their stormwater on site. So that's going to minimize the town's maintenance requirements. We have 1 drainage basin located in this area here, and the reason being is to just kind of keep things small as far as maintenance goes in the future. So we created a small high point here, and we brought all the drainage back to this location and stormwater back to this location, and everything flows from south to north into that drainage basin here. We provided a complete hydrology analysis that was part of the application, and you'll see that all of the storms, the 210, 25, and 100-year storms have all been attenuated through that basin. Other items to note are 2 waiver requests. I believe we mentioned that at the preliminary hearing that we would ask for them, and we are asking for 2 waivers, one of which is in regards to the sidewalks. We're looking for a waiver to only put a sidewalk on one side of the cul-de-sac, on the southerly side of the cul-de-sac, this location here. Reason being is it's going to be an industrial subdivision, not a lot of pedestrian traffic. On Route 16, there aren't any sidewalks to tie into per se, but we'd like to extend or at least install 1 sidewalk so as to connect to a sidewalk if one does come down in the future. The second waiver request we're asking for is 3 trees. And again, the lots will be wooded, the lots are currently wooded, they will have plenty of trees on them, but we just feel as if since we don't know the end users for any of the lots, it would be sort of unjust to pop in trees every 100 feet, just for now, and then have somebody come in and just remove them. So we're asking for the street trees to be waived at this point as well. I don't think the applicant has a problem with, putting the street trees or the same number of street trees just pop along individual lots after they get developed, but it's just, it doesn't seem right to put them in every 100 feet when they may have to get removed in the future. Two items that came up at the preliminary subdivision that we took account for, one of which is the radii of the curb coming out of the subdivision. It was noted at the preliminary hearing that, it's truck traffic, it's Route 16, and the 25-foot radii curves may be a little insufficient to make the sweeps, so we bumped those up to 30 feet, although Mass DOT only requires 25. We heard the comments of the board, and we added that additional 5 feet for the turning radii for the roadway. So the throat of the roadway is, the width of the roadway is 26 feet, then you add another 60 feet, so you get 86 feet of throat to make the turning movements in and out of the subdivision. The second item that we took note of was the zoning change. On the preliminary plan, we only showed that our parcel was in the industrial zone. It was pointed out to us that this entire part of the town is all the way up to the town line of Uxbridge is industrial. So we've made those two modifications to the plan set. I think as far as the design goes, we did try to keep it as small as possible. The interior roadway is set at very gentle grade. There's a 3% grade up from Route 16 to a 2% grade down, and then a 2% grade up at the end of the cul-de-sac. There was a low point that we created here, so we just collected that with the drop inlet, have an underground pipe that will discharge into the abutting properties and basins. Standard construction details with the Town of Douglas specifications have been added. So with all that being said, and the history of the project going through the board back in March and April, I'll be more than welcome to entertain any questions that you may have.
Okay. Thank you, Mark.
Just quickly make one addition. Mark mentioned 2 waivers, but I think we need 2 more, and I apologize if they're not in the materials. We're seeking a waiver to do overhead wires due to the likelihood of solar being on site, with the anticipation that solar project might connect to a town solar project in the high school, and we're seeking a waiver of, I think the requirement is 40 or 50 feet to pave off of the way. They're seeking a waiver of that at the point that it crosses the pipeline, with the idea being that we only want to trying to deal with the pipeline company one time in crossing and doing the paving. So I apologize if that's not in the packet, but those are 2 additional waivers I think we need or are seeking.
Mark, do you know if those are in the packet?
They were not, unfortunately, no.
Okay.
Those didn't make the application, so I'll amend that request letter and add those 2 waiver requests for you.
That's fine.
I think those are the 2, but Mark and I will touch base after this meeting too.
All right.
Can I go to Eve for any comments on your end?
Yeah, I apologize. I'm only here a short period of time every week, and I didn't get to this one, and I figured it had already come for preliminary, so you guys knew more than I did.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a couple off the bat.
Okay, Mike.
If you could, on your front page, on your registry, your sheet index, the numbering of your lots there is completely different than the numbering of your lots on every other page.
Oh, yeah.
In this location
Yeah.
here?
If you look at that, now look at all your other sheets, it's totally backwards on some of them. On the one we have here,
Yeah.
the page we have is 1, 2, is lots 7 and 8, and all our paperwork here.
The front page, right?
On the front page, on the front cover page.
Yeah.
Cover page,
On your cover page,
yeah. He wasn't there,
see right there?
yeah. That's wrong.
One lot,
2.
or sheet L1, L2, and L3.
Yeah, see how it's 1 and 2? Up in the
The existing buildings are listed there as 1
1,
and
2, but you got the 7 and 8 and all your other.
Right. Okay.
You got it?
One the other way.
All right.
Gotcha.
The other question, you having one mailbox, every building? Have you talked to the postmaster on this at all?
We haven't, but that would, what we would assume, I don't know if Tom has talked to the post office, but we would assume one per.
Well, something to find out, because if there's gonna be a standard mailbox, then that needs all to be figured out with the postmaster and all the print. If they're all gonna have their own mail, then that's fine, and that's all understood as you move forward.
Right.
But whenever there's a plan like this, normally we try to find out what you got going on. And then on your two existing buildings, you have an old driveway being shown on most of your prints that go on to 16. What's going on with that?
So that will remain in place until such time that the subdivision is built, and the Tetras intend to utilize it as a second means of access, but they will then have access to the new roadway as well.
So what you're saying is those two lots are not going to be coming off this road, or they're going to have both 16 access and this access?
They will have both, correct. They'll have a second means of access when the new road goes in.
All right, is there any plan on throwing on these prints where they're planning on tapping in?
We could, we haven't discussed it with them. They were very comfortable with their current location. Everything is basically at grade, as you can see here.
Right. Well, it's just a deal where you're saying there's so many lots and stuff going on, but then you see another driveway, it's not even really highlighted that that driveway is there, not coming out of this industrial park. It's totally separate.
Yeah, so the existing driveway
It's all up there in the top corner,
in
right?
this location. Yep,
And it goes to the other building also, right? Yeah,
correct. And they also own this building in this location here. So
Right.
That's their current access.
right.
So they don't plan on adding additional access, they're just going to gain frontage once these lots are created.
Okay. I'm just curious, because it's not highlighted on the prints. And pretty much right now, that's what I got, with the mailbox and the other stuff. And
Any other questions or comments from the board? Ernie?
On the reduction of the roadway, you mentioned you wanted to ask for a waiver on that. What are you reducing it to?
We're keeping 26 feet wide, Ernie, we didn't ask for a waiver for the roadway bill.
The extent of the.
Are you referring to what I was
Yeah.
speaking to? It's the extension off, the proposed extension off the roadway. I think the subdivision bylaws call for
Yeah.
driveways or something of that sort to be paid for the first 50 feet.
Okay.
And we're seeking a waiver of that.
All right.
The cul-de-sac will be paved.
Okay. Thank
Our
you.
driveway over the pipeline. That's what we're seeking. Yeah.
Okay.
I go,
This location, yeah.
will there be an easement coming off this to get to the back lots?
An easement will not be necessary. It does have the adequate frontage. I'm going to kind of zoom in here for you to that location. Kind of highlight it in a different color. So this lot frontage does this. This lot frontage does that. I take that back. You're at, yeah. So the access for Tom's future is going to be in this location. So there will be an easement.
Okay,
Lot 5 to lot 6.
to get into the backside, on the backside of them lots?
Correct.
Okay. I was just looking for a highlighted so that it would stand out.
Yep.
All right, thanks.
Aaron, anything? Okay.
Covered most of it, and Mike's covered the other part.
This is a public hearing. Are there anyone in the audience with any questions, comments? Name and address, sir?
Jeremy Flansburgh, 63 Monroe Street.
Yes, Jeremy.
Of course. Just for everybody's information, the Tetro property that's located here, if we go back to the map, there was already a current, from this point all the way back to where this dotted line is, where it crossed over. That was an easement. It was been there for years and years and years. When I was in college, this board allowed Mr. Tatro to build his building on top of the easement. And that's why Del Taylor can't get to his land. Del Taylor's been all over my family for years to buy just inches of my land to put in, to go through to get to these back properties. Now, the one comment that was mentioned today, so there already was an easement at one time, but this board allowed him to build on the easement. And they deleted the easement. So I never had any opportunity to get to my back property. And one of the comments that was made tonight was that all of this runoff now is going to be going into adjacent abutters' property. Well, that goes right to here, in the swamp, on my property. So this project is going to be dumping all this water onto my property, just so everybody knows. So they can gently say that it's going to just, the water's going to go onto somebody else's property. It's going to go on my property. And I don't think that that's fair.
They're building retention basin.
Well, we'll certainly have the plans looked at through.
Well, I'm just saying that
Yeah.
you guys, you allowed Mr. Tatro, or the estate of Mr. Tatro, to build on a right-of-way at one time, and then you never told them to put a new right-of-way in. And now we're right back at it 40 or 20 years later. And now everybody wants to dump all their water onto my property, and I don't think it's fair. I just spent $2,000 on a professional trapper to take out 4 beavers that were in that area.
Thank you,
I don't
Jeremy.
think it's fair.
All right, Beavers.
Comments have been heard. Mark, do you have any response to that? Any of
Yeah,
those?
absolutely. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I brought up the hydrology plans so that you can take a peek at. As with every subdivision, we have to mitigate stormwater runoff from all the storm events from the 2-year to the 100-year storm. There are 2 subcatchments on the property, one of which I've highlighted in blue, and it runs from south to north. That was just identified by Mr. Flansburgh. The other smaller subcatch basin exists in this area. Let's change the color. Exists in this area, and it just basically runs into this location and sort of ponds here in this location, and it doesn't go south to north. So with the new roadway configuration, it actually intercepts that major drainage area, and that's where we have the benefit of mitigating the runoff. So I'm going to just kind of highlight again in blue where the road is. It intercepts that water that comes from south to north. It gets collected in the street drains, put into an infiltration basin so as to mitigate the storms, and then slowly leaks it off into the abutting wetlands. So we're not increasing any runoff by any means. It's charged to the Mass DEP. It's a charge of the local conservation commission, and it's something that we have to adhere to on every project. I'm just going to try to find the table of runoff while we chat, and just to show you that in the various storm events, we have reduced the amount of peak flow going to the 2 different properties. So you'll see that in the existing condition,
Too thick.
too thick. In the existing condition, the 2-year storm basically shows about 4.5 to 5 cubic feet per second going to the north, and about 1.2 cubic feet per second going to the south. In the post condition, we're a little bit less, 4.7 and 1.0, and then iteratively, as the storms increase, we reduce the post-construction runoff. So we have also filed this application with the Massachusetts Department of Environmental Protection. and as well as the Douglas Conservation Commission. We are having a hearing later on this month to discuss the impacts to the abutting wetlands and probably get more involved with the drainage hydrology analysis. But just wanted to point that out for the board.
All right, thank you, Mark.
Thank you.
Do you have a response to that, Jeremy? I'm gonna give you, this is only our first meeting on this, so I don't wanna go all night going back and forth on it, so we're gonna be sending it out to our engineer, so I'll let you get a quick response in.
Remember, his analysis was that the water's going that way. That's my property. See my name right there?
Yeah.
That's my property. All the water's going towards my property. And even farther up, that's my property. So all the water is going towards my property. And,
Yep.
and quite frankly, if you notice, where this building is, there's riprap. And when they put that building in, that riprap caused extreme flooding on my side of the, on my property. My property is a standing water of it's a swamp. Because he put his building on the right of way. Just an FYI. So it's been an ongoing issue. I have told Mr. Zisk about this back in, I think in the late 90s. He's aware of it. They had to put up, Pete Tatro was mad as heck at me because they had to put up all hay bales because he wrecked that whole swamp, which was, a low swamp. And then it just came into feet and feet of water because of all his runoff from his parking lot. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Stevens.
Through the chair. So, Mark, if you can address the easement, which was the second item, the pre-existing easement that went through the Grand Tech parking lot to what's being proposed now.
Yeah, so there was an old easement, let me see if I can find it here.
Roughly know where it is, yeah. Perfect.
Yeah, that's what I'm looking at.
Yep,
This is a shared driveway easement in this location here for the two buildings
yep,
that was mentioned earlier, or at least referenced earlier. We're going to be creating that so that the rear lot 7 has an access easement over lot 8. But there was, and I can't recall the name of the easement, but it did grow up in this location towards the Flansburgh property. It has since been abolished, but it was there. It was an old cart path, I do believe.
Abolished how? Any idea? Or when?
Records of it.
yeah. So,
I don't have all the history of the easement, but I know that it's not active anymore.
all right, so the new proposal is a new point of access that you're proposing now, right? Is so both of those lots can be accessed off of this new development?
Yes.
Okay, and that's going to be a deeded point of access?
Yep, so this easement is to be created so as to give lot 7 access to
Yep.
pass and repass
Yep.
over lot 8
Yeah,
in the current driveway location.
but how about the other two parcels in the back? In the upper corner? Yeah, you're not showing it on the screen, but you know where they're headed to.
Yes, yeah, so this easement here is going to benefit lots 5 and lot 6.
5 and 6, okay.
Just 5 and 6? I thought, isn't the easement going to the back property on the back side of those lots?
There's an extension, further zoning regulations that we have provided, a 60-foot wide extension of a right-of-way to abutting properties.
Yep.
That is also in play, that is created in this location here.
The 60-foot right-of-way is supposed to be to access landlocked parcels, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
If in the event they become developable.
Correct. Okay.
So that's going all the way back to the Hutnack property right now? That one will be, okay.
Yep.
But documentation on the old easement would be nice to know if it's been abolished or not, by fact, by print. please?
I can provide that, sure.
I'd appreciate that. Thank you.
Anyone else in the audience or online with any questions, comments, concerns?
I just have one.
Name and address, please.
Tracy Sharkey, 3 West Street. Can you talk about the aquifer district? So you've got it going through half of the property? Any
Yes.
additional requirements for stormwater you'll have to meet?
Yep. So we are, you can kind of see that aquifer protection district highlighted in the dashed line. I can zoom in here.
Yep, there it is.
There it is.
In this location here. And as it goes up here. The aquifer protection district is in this location.
Okay.
So about a third of, or half of the lots are in that aquifer protection district. All of the stormwater management that we have designed for the project meets or exceeds the Mass DEP stormwater management regulations. It reduces the total suspended solids from anything that gets collected on the street. It also reduces the amount of volume that will leave the site post-construction, and it also reduces the amount of peak flow as it leaves the site. It also does not create any illicit discharges. It also it maintains all the regulations that need to be done as far as volumetric control, peak flow control, and stormwater, all the stormwater management policies and procedures.
So were there any additional items that you had to meet or zoning requirements for that district?
It's all stormwater management related and
Okay.
septic system related items.
Yeah, okay. And Partners is spelled wrong on every title sheet except for the front.
Now, doing your calculations, are you taking into account paved surfaces and parking lots for all these lots?
No, so the outside of my presentation, the stormwater management system is designed to collect, treat, and discharge stormwater just through the new legacy circle right of way.
Okay.
As these lots get developed, they will be required to attenuate their stormwater flows as they get developed.
All right. So those driveways then will not be pitched into the road, is what you're kind of getting at?
They
'Cause-
could be, as long as they, review our hydrology and make sure that the basin is big enough. But again, it'll be on a lot-by-lot basis, or if an end user comes in and gets 3 lots, we'll have to evaluate whether or not the basin can handle it. If not, they'll have to be all treated on site.
All right, so then that lot, or those lots, would have to have their own stormwater management besides what you're already doing.
Exactly right.
Okay?
And what that does too, just with more, information, that keeps the stormwater more of it in its natural state, so as opposed to just putting all 45 acres into one basin,
Yep.
it allows you to collect the roofs and the parking and treat it and keep infiltrating the groundwater table in more of a natural location.
Okay. Just making sure that's understood, because by the way the drawing is, you don't know how much parking lot you're going to have there, or
Correct.
driveway you're going to have there,
Absolutely.
or even roof, how much square footage of roof you could have.
Exactly right. That's why we're going to leave it up to the individual lots as they get developed.
Okay.
To mitigate their stormwater.
Thank you.
That'll be part of the decision.
Yeah.
Ernie?
Separate wells and separate septic systems for each lot? Is that proposed?
Yes.
Yeah.
Mark, as you gather that information regarding that pre-existing easement through the Granny Tech parking lot, if you're showing a change of that easement, can you just, when you update the board, show if it's, if it was a 60-foot easement, that you're still proposing similar to that, if you're dissolving an easement and moving an easement? So,
Absolutely.
Excuse me, can I talk on the easement issue?
Oh, so we're already over what we're scheduled for. I want to give our planner time to research everything, get some comments from her, get it looked at with the peer review. Just hammer out this stuff first, and then once we get more information, we'll.
Because it doesn't exist.
Okay. All right, do we need a motion for peer review now? Okay. to make that motion that we, for, we have to, just, we have to send it out for bid, or? just-
No, we already got it set up.
Okay.
So it's 53G.
3G.
G account?
I will check to see if we have an account, but we'll get it.
Yeah, for this project.
Have a review account.
Being issued.
Okay.
And they gotta just drop off a check. Yep, so. Is it?
Formal.
Okay. Formal? Yeah. I'll make a motion to establish the 53G account for the Peter Michael Business Park.
Motion made by Les,
Second?
seconded by Ernie. All those in favor?
All right,
Aye.
Abstain.
One abstain, Tracy.
Yeah.
All right, when's our
Continue.
next meeting?
September
Eve?
23rd.
I'm not sure that
They're going to be ready.
we're going to have, so I'm still trying to figure out this process. So you agreed to allow, you just voted to have, set up a 53G and then or use the 53G money for a peer review. So the next step for me is to actually get the peer reviewer done.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
And then, I mean, I think we've got a lot on our plate for the 23rd because everything got pushed back.
Yep. It's a short turnaround.
And it's a short turnaround. I don't think we're going to be
we'll
happy.
normally put them on, then if they want to continue, then they'll continue.
Yeah, things aren't ready.
But we'll put it, normally, if they want it on, it's up to the
Yeah,
client.
they're
If they want to have it on the 23rd,
going to be ready.
then if we're not ready or whatever.
23rd, okay with you, or?
Mark.
you-
Leave it to
Mark's got changes.
He's got
I mean,
the work.
he has to make changes before is he going to make the changes that you've asked for before we send it out for peer review?
I would say.
Yes.
Good.
Bad deal.
So I don't think that's
Through the
enough
chair,
time.
I would recommend that we keep the 23rd meeting, even if it's just to exchange more information. I.e., get the
Status.
relevant data on the easement, clarification, get some of the items that were brought up elsewhere, and just kind of bring the board up to speed as to where we are, even if we don't have the peer review letter done yet. I think it'd be beneficial just to keep things moving.
But all
Right.
of these
Through the chair, can I ask
amendments
another
should be
question?
included before the peer review
Yeah, so,
Yeah,
from today's meeting.
so through the chair, let me ask a question, or maybe ask you a question. So I'm not gonna, I can pick a peer reviewer, but I'm not gonna send anything to him until they've made those changes that you've at least talked about today. So it would be on
right.
Allen Engineering to send me a corrected version of the plans that we
Yep.
talked about today before I send it out to the peer review.
100%. Because if not, it wastes their time.
Exactly.
Yep.
Okay, I'm just making sure.
Normally, that's what, the things like we brought up, like the numbers that are different in the spelling or whatever, and
Follow the dates.
the minor things. and-
Change the dates every time.
Right, I just want to make sure that I'm not
Yep, you're good.
supposed to be doing this next week
All
if
right.
I don't have the plans.
No?
Okay,
Not-
perfect.
All right.
So we need a motion to continue the public hearing?
Are we doing?
I have a
23rd at 8
question in
o'clock.
the audience right now. I see Bob standing up. Bob, name and address, please.
Bob and Eric, 107 Cedar Street.
Yes, sir.
Can I make a comment on the access that Mr. Flansburgh was referring to?
Yeah, I'll let you make a comment on that.
All right, that right-of-way that Mr. Flansburgh is referring to on the deeds is Wood Road. It is going through the corner of one of the Tetro buildings, and it's access to the Taylor properties in the back. The beginning is off the old Monroe Street, off the corner, I believe, and it parallels the Flansburgh Tetro property. However, there's a building on that easement as we speak. That easement was called Wood Road for a reason. It's allowed for the purpose of bringing wood from Taylor's property to 16.
Yep.
Just for the record, just so you know what he's.
Yep.
Okay.
Excellent.
Thank you for the information.
All right.
Thank you.
And I'll
I'll
confirm
make a
that.
motion.
He's right, and they discontinued it, and I didn't have any access to the backside of my property. And I believe Bill Cundiff gave me a plan of it, and I believe you are right, it was called Wood Road.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, I believe it was Wood Road, and long story short, but it no longer exists. There is no road there no more.
Well,
Thank you,
Mark,
Bob.
okay.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Yep.
All right, so September 23rd, what time do we
8
have?
o'clock.
8?
8 o'clock. All right.
So we'll make a motion to continue the public hearing to September 23rd for, you said 8?
Yep.
For 8 o'clock.
Motion made by Mike G,
Seconded.
seconded by Aaron.
Yep.
All those in favor?
Aye,
Aye.
Abstain.
One abstain,
Thank you.
Tracy.
cool. All right, thank you, Chair.
Yeah, thanks.
Thank you, Mark. Thank you, everyone.
Next item on the agenda, 7:15 PM, public hearing continued, Flying Goose LLC. I'll entertain a motion to their request for continuance to September 23rd at 8:15.
So moved?
Motion.
Oh,
It's continued.
Yeah, it's
You
already,
have to open the public hearing and then continue it.
Yeah, it's open.
Okay.
from last week.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was previously
Was
open.
it open last one, or was it?
yeah, it's a
Yeah, it's
continuance.
continuance.
I already did it, so moved.
Yeah.
I'll second the motion.
Motion
To move
made
it to
and seconded.
8:15?
All those in favor?
Aye.
23rd at 8:15.
Yeah, get this back on track.
White Inn Reservoir Estates, we have written report and update on roadwork conditions, progress. There's a letter in your packet from Jude requesting to be on the next meeting because they haven't been making much progress on their proposal. So we'll just keep them on as additional business. Scenic Road, 7 Webster Street property, possible votes. Is anyone here for that? Sarah Roach? Is she here from 7 Webster Street?
Yes.
Oh.
7?
Okay, okay. Do you want to give us an update on the activity?
Excuse me, I'm sorry. I'm just here to help him.
Okay.
Because he just speaks Spanish.
Okay,
But he pretty much, what happened there, he just went in the backyard and he just cleaned up, a little bit, but he never moved the stone walls and nothing. What he wants to do it, because at 2 trees over there, he just want to make access from that street so he can build a shed and bring his trailer. So that's pretty much, but he never removed nothing besides he cleaned, whatever in his backyard.
yeah, we have a lot of pictures that things were moved. So that's a scenic road back there. So we know that it's been put back into place, but if there's any activity proposed on that roadway, you have to get a survey, make sure you're on your property, and come for a permit under our scenic road bylaw.
What he told me, he just cut 2 branches, which were off to the side. He has the picture the way it looks right now. Because he never took no trees down.
Well, you need to know about the,
Our building commissioner, did you want to
That's
have any
down the road,
comments
though.
on this?
That's-
Because you were
that's-
intimately
No, you
involved.
don't need a
Hold
permit.
on, guys,
Yeah,
Understood.
one conversation. Hey,
guys.
order.
thank you.
If,
Yeah.
Rich Wright.
Ken Frazier, Building Commissioner. I know I've been up by that site, it's on Old Oxford Road, I don't believe that's called in that area. But anyway, it's backside of 7 Webster Road. There were stones that had been placed in a fashion to make a driveway entrance. I didn't see that the wall itself had been disturbed other than natural falling down. There was some limbs, potentially smaller trees. It was fairly cleared out there. There's a no trespassing sign up on the tree. I know the gentleman came down to the office wondering what the notice was in regards to. And what he explained to me is he wanted to cut a driveway in the back so he could bring his utility trailer and put a shed in. And at that point, I said, you have to go in front of the planning board and plead your case as to what you want to do. But the work that had been done, the main wall hadn't been removed. He had set stones where they came from, I don't know, to make like a driveway entrance.
Okay.
And cleared some.
okay,
So-
one moment in the audience where that came from. Mike?
No, I was gonna say, if he wants to do it, just, like you said, file the paperwork and bring it before us. It's been done before.
Yeah.
For scenic road opening. What?
Through the chair, 2 things. One, it involves the highway department because, line of sight, a lot of other things that has to be surveyed, make sure you're properly doing that. I don't have a problem with if someone wants to access their property for that purpose, but there's a process to make sure for the safety aspect of it.
Right,
And-
but you don't need, lots have been opened up on scenic roads without a survey. So if
Great.
you have a plot plan showing a road and where you want to put it and stuff, that would be
It's a
sufficient.
little trickier than that.
It's the second
for
access.
This
driveway.
one specifically.
It's not a
Happened
personal
on
driveway.
Oak Street, so we allowed one to go in. There wasn't a survey or anything like that. You're allowed a secondary opening, on a scenic road. You had a print of the frontage and where the opening and stuff was gonna be. So,
Right, but
Going on
this
the
is,
driveway, it has to be inspected by the highway superintendent.
right, if it's an access area or whatever like that, right.
Second thing is, if you cut trees on a scenic road, that's a no-no right off the bat.
You can cut up to 1.5 or 2 inches.
We don't know, because the trees are already cut. I don't know
Right.
how big the trees were that
Yeah.
were cut down.
They appear to be bigger.
Can't, I mean,
You said limbs were cut down.
It appears to me as limbs, I don't know that any trees
Yeah, I
were
mean-
taken down, but it definitely some limbing was done on the trees in there.
limbing one thing, but cutting trees down is another thing. And if they're a certain diameter, you're not supposed to be cutting.
Correct, but you can't cut trees of a certain, up to a certain diameter. You can't cut them
You still have
just
to
to
come in
cut
for a
them.
permit to cut anything else after that.
After that, that's it.
I don't know how big the trees were. It's all open and cut now,
Yeah.
so I have no idea how big the trees were before they were cut.
okay. If someone in the audience wanted to make a comment, name and address, please, for the record.
Ed Riley, I live at 8 Northwest Main Street. My property on the north side borders with his at the wall. Those stones that are laid out, those came off of that wall, those were there. The neighbors saw them taking them off the wall. Second, I didn't notice it at the time, but there's a surveying point. One of those stones, he's moved.
That's a pin.
Surveying stone is down by the street now. It's got the little, I can give you a
Yep.
picture of that. It's
Yeah,
got the little
it's a drill hole.
divot in it that they
Yeah.
make in those. So he's removed that without permission. And I thought, I'm not sure of all the bylaws on scenic roads and the walls. I thought Massachusetts had laws too, that you really needed to have permission to do some of this stuff.
Not really.
But I don't really know.
No.
So the activity ceased, so that was the good thing, and it appears that it's been back in place. If he wants to get the permit and do the paperwork, he'll have to file with our board. And we'll have to see something in writing and a plan and the width of the driveway and making sure that it's not disturbing anyone else's property.
And also DPW has to be.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, for a driveway permit.
yeah.
Yep.
He's not gonna, this plan is not to build a driveway, he just wanna access to the, I understand.
We call it a driveway.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
understand.
we
In a
call it,
bush shed. Okay,
Yeah.
so you need to file a permit.
because you're breaking through the existing wall too.
Yeah.
You're not just driving on
Yeah.
lawn.
So you need to file a permit.
Yes,
Okay.
and no more work unless he files something.
You can get a copy of the scenic bylaw, scenic road bylaw, and look it over, read it, and you can find out what you can and can't do, and what you need a permit for.
Okay.
Just through the chair, more importantly, is that, that land surveying pin has to be corrected. Has to be put back. It's pretty,
The neighbor can
Correct.
request it.
Correct.
I don't know how you would if
well,
they
if
say
he's,
no
if he's gonna
for
file,
a surveyor to go back out.
I mean,
yeah.
Unless you know,
No, but-
unless you know what you're looking for.
Correct.
You would never know there's a DH in a stone wall. I'm telling you that right now.
Oh, I know.
I'll let you go along mine, and you tell me where the DH is at. So I'll tell you what,
I think-
Mike,
it's very
Mike,
easy
Mike,
for it to
Mike,
happen.
Mike, just first, through the chair.
Yeah, I don't know if we can actually speak
Correct.
on that.
So should he file, should he make his request? That's one of the things that we would want, you know, because it's going to have to be surveyed. So the surveyor, who does have a record of, most surveying companies, Andrews and several other ones, all have records of where the pins are on those walls and what they look for.
I mean, the abutter or the landowner might know where his pin is, it's might be marked on his deed if he knows where it is. But that's,
That- that-
Beyond
that-
our
That's
scope,
all.
so,
just because.
so no more activity, okay?
Just because
Yeah.
you're trying to help and educate.
Right.
Is that, you just can't show up with a 20 by 24 shed. There's certain bylaw, there's certain issues in the building department, and the building that dictates what size you can put up without a permit, that's all. Just be aware of that.
Yes.
Okay. So you're clear? And then you should remedy, if he did move a rock with a drill hole in it, he should remedy it.
Okay.
So to be neighborly,
Okay.
to put that back where it was,
Okay.
because it's a boundary marker on his plot plan, the survey plot plan.
We're here to work with you, but just gotta go through the right way,
Okay.
all right?
Yeah, no problem.
Appreciate it.
Thank you for coming in.
Thanks.
Thank you.
I have a question on that. Has there ever been any thought of putting like a sign to designate and to show that roads and sections are a scenic road?
I think we have signs, don't we?
Some,
Someone labeled.
It's on the actual street sign, right?
So-
We can add that to the monuments.
Oh, well, let's not go there.
Because I know, like, I wouldn't,
I'm not sure
unless
that
being
was
on the board and knowing that that was a scenic road, driving down, I wouldn't know that that was a scenic road to like maybe
Hey, you know.
halt the brakes a little bit, or use some,
I mean, the scenic roads are listed.
yeah.
right, and that's where I go where
But they're not listed.
people don't know what is and what isn't. You're on the street for 5 years, you'd never know that it's a scenic road, half of them.
Yeah.
You go to certain towns and they're quite advertised, this is a scenic
road.
road.
Correct.
So, I mean, you go into Sutton, you know if you're on a scenic road.
Yep.
You
All
go
of
through
them are.
Douglas, you have
You're on
no
the
idea
road.
what road you're on.
Correct. Agreed.
So, somebody moving a rock here or there, I mean, this is the way to do it, but you gotta,
We can,
you know, you don't know it. You don't know
we can have,
it. So, something to think about down the road.
see if it's in the
for
highway budget.
Signage, highway department.
So, see if it's in the highway budget. So, all right, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Good luck.
Thanks.
Thank you. Good night.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Additional business.
Before you move on,
Yep.
In order to get that survey, do I have to request that, or is he's got to request that?
You can request it if that is your pin there, your front left corner. You would have to hire a surveyor and they would re-drill it. They would just use, or just put in a rod in,
Yeah.
an iron rod.
Yeah, they use
Then
rods
that
now.
won't move.
They use rods now.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Yep. Yeah.
Okay, additional business, item number 3, I'm gonna pass that to the vice chair, and I'll recuse myself from the discussion.
Fine.
All right, number 3, 93 Davis Street, requesting clarification on a fence versus Jersey barriers. And that's SPR 200428, possible votes. And I haven't had a chance to look at this letter, so.
Can I give a little bit of a?
Yeah.
So
I
at
haven't had a chance to look
the,
letter,
at the
so.
last meeting, we had a conversation about whether the change, how we move forward with the process for the board to discuss the change, or the possible change. I did talk to town council. He indicated that if it's considered a minor amendment to the site plan, you can vote on it. You can make the change now. If it's not considered a minor, if it's considered a more significant change, then you do have to have the public hearing, just like you did for the original proposal in the first place. So what he suggested, or what we agreed, what he and I agreed is the best process, is that the first discussion would be whether the planning board thinks it's a minor amendment or not. The building commissioner is here because he has a take, which I think he would like the opportunity to speak, to tell you why he thinks it's more of a major change. But if the board does decide that it's a minor change, then you can then take a vote as to whether or not you think it's okay or not, and whether or not the change can be made. If the board agrees that it's a major change, then you can't vote.
Yeah, we got it.
Okay, so that's all I need to say. The building commissioner
Okay.
can give you the more details on the
All
actual
right.
project.
I'm gonna go to Ken Fraser, Town of Douglas Building Inspector, for your input on that.
I believe everybody on the board's got the letter that I wrote with regards to that change. As you can see in the letter, I don't consider that to be a minor change. I'm looking at that post and rail fencing as a safety feature to that lot. It's not just an aesthetic, but it's a safety feature. The Jersey barriers that are set there are just set on top of the ground. There's requirements for Jersey barriers for barrier protection, vehicle weights have to be determined, anchorage, the whole thing that goes with that. If it was, just a simple little fence to, for the looks, there wouldn't be an issue, but it is a protective device for fall, for vehicles, moreover than pedestrians. I believe that the chain link fence is more of a pedestrian fail-safe on the backside of that property.
I had a couple things on that. The wood fencing is on that property.
Yes,
I drove through it today. It's all there. It's all stacked in the corner.
it's been there for a couple of months.
And the Jersey barriers, by what you're saying, they're all supposed to be pinned together or locked together. As an individual Jersey barrier, they're useless. They're not. They're just scattered along the backside. So the only excuse that I see is going on here is she doesn't want to get a contractor to put in what an engineer dictated is the structural design to go to stop a car from going over that banking. So if the board decides to go with the Jersey barriers, I'm not going to vote on it because I'm not putting my name on something that's not stamped by a mechanical engineer or a traffic engineer stating that those Jersey barriers will withstand the force of a car. We're changing a major part, I think, of a print.
So if I may.
Seems like that'd be stronger, though, than the fence.
Huh?
It is strong.
All right, so,
Stronger than the fence. so-
hold on.
Oh, you just said something, let me
Yeah.
say something. I went out to the site, I took photographs relative to my truck.
Yeah,
The Jersey barrier, those are higher, they're taller than the other rail system would have been. The Jersey barriers, according to me looking up, around 4,000 pounds apiece. Being used, yes, granted, locked in together on a highway at 70, 80 miles per hour. We're talking about, I don't think anyone's going to come through here at 60. It's probably 10, 5, 15. A lot of damage is going to be done. First of all, the car would have to roll over the 8-inch curb that's there. Then it would have to get to the Jersey barrier. Then you got to get to the fence. If this was around the Cook Kabul airport, this would be just better what they had there. I just think the thing is, an aesthetics question is a different question. I just think as far as strength goes and utility, this is more than enough. This is just more than enough. And I'm not trying to play punitive to anybody. This is my opinion.
Okay.
I think we first need to figure out,
Whether it's a minor.
is this a minor change
If
or not? Because if it's minor, then we can continue talking.
Yep.
If it's major,
Yep.
we gotta just shut it down.
So, I'll go first. I mean, just related to the past decisions of this board, when we've done minor modifications versus majors and stuff like that, these onesie, twosie items where it's just changing of something needed due to on-site or parents or whatever else, we've handled those as minors. If it was changing the water or anything related to the retention ponds or anything related to drainage, then we trigger that as a major. That's my view.
Road layout, parking
Correct.
layout.
I'll let Ernie weigh in on it, if he thinks it's a minor or major. They're on the table.
Kind of in agreement with Aaron that, right, it's not a highway, it's a parking lot. I haven't gone down there and looked to see how stable the ground is, how close they are to the edge, if there's a chance of erosion and the Jersey barrier starting to slide. I would like to know how stable they are before I make an opinion on it. I'll go down and take a look, I haven't yet. But if it's stable, and I wouldn't have the concern of it being a major change, but I'd like to look at it before I decide.
I did a drawing, it doesn't say minor or major, but I have a drawing of what's out there.
I'd like to just hear from the applicant as to why you might feel that this is a minor change versus a major change. Can I just get you?
Good afternoon, good evening, gentlemen, I'm sorry. I've been up since 5 o'clock this morning, we opened today. Hey! So today was our first.
And just a new note taker, just name and address, please.
Oh, sorry, Teresa Madison.
Oh.
93 Davis.
You need a home address or an actual?
No, just the business address.
So I feel that it's a minor change because of the fact that we have the Jersey barriers. We have about, 13 feet from the berm, the stone, the Jersey barrier, more stone, the fence, and then the rest of the retaining wall. If you were to pull a car up to that berm, you still have feet before the nose of that car even comes anywhere near that Jersey barrier. Now, mind you, what you're doing is you're going around the back of the building. You're in a parking lot. It's not a highway. And when I had those set by professionals that set Jersey barriers, they were clear that I didn't have to have them welded together or in the ground because it was a parking lot. It wasn't a highway. They're not going to be doing more than, what, 5, 10? Even if they're doing 20, that's crazy. Just crazy. But the length of those Jersey barriers are end to end where the deepest parts are. And then it breaks off to level land. So why would I have to put a fence or more Jersey barriers to level the land? Where are they going to go? And as far as the fence goes, yes, it's there because I thought I was going to, I had to put it in, but the issue is that fence had to go in before anything was done. I have lines coming across the parking lot from my lighting. I have a propane line coming across that parking lot now. I don't know where all that stuff is under the ground now. Not to mention, I've gone to 6 people to help me put this fence in. Nobody wants to put this fence in. If you want me to put the fence in, then you're asking me to spend $50,000 to $60,000 to $70,000 to put in this post and rail that was overkill from the beginning. I did what I had to do.
I'm hearing enough.
It's a minor change because everything, you wanted safety, you got safety. You wanted to protect the people from going over the property. It is settled by those Jersey barriers and all the space.
Just through the chair, just through the chair for the audience to understand and like that, or anybody in the future. The fence is already installed. We're talking about the difference between Jersey barriers and a wooden guardrail. Just so clarification, because we say the word fence, and again, the fence is already installed. So I think the applicants explain why they think it's a minor. Mike, I don't know what your view is. Aaron's already.
We've heard.
Yeah, I mean,
Tom.
to me, it's a major, I mean, you have a stamp, don't you? You have a stamp for Prince? So-
I'll put 30 years of experience on that.
So,
With the
I'm speaking to the chair. So that means a stamp doesn't mean anything, because we're not going by a stamp set of prints. That's my say on it. They weigh 3280.
In a vehicle, 3280, the vehicles are hard to do that.
All right, I don't want to get into like weights and.
Yeah, we
Back and forth.
everything like that.
Let's
I
go.
just want to get into.
Let's address the
I
one
think it's a
point.
major.
So we got major,
But it's aesthetic,
So
most of it.
I would like to do a roll call vote. Just go around the table.
Need a motion.
What would we need to decide if it was a major versus minor? Majority?
majority.
Okay.
You need a motion first.
What do we,
Correct.
Yeah.
okay.
I make a motion to declare that the current application of these Jersey barriers constitute not much more than an aesthetic difference and therefore minor and not a major. It isn't a roadway, it isn't a building change, it isn't.
Yeah, we just need.
yeah.
First is the major,
So
minor, not
anyway,
minor.
I make a motion that this is, for us to take a vote, I guess.
No. Oh,
To say, how do you do it? To take a vote.
the minor change,
Minor change.
that's it.
Make a
That's it.
motion that
Make
it's
a motion
a minor change. or a
that this
major
is a minor
Right.
change to
Okay.
this property.
Okay, motion's made by Aaron that this is a minor change. Well, it's to the property and also the site plan.
Correct.
Second that.
So motion made by Aaron, seconded by Mike G. And I'll just do a roll call vote on that. So a motion's been made and seconded. Around the table, aye, nay. I would think that's how it would
Yep.
make sense to do it.
Yep, that's fine.
So,
Yeah, Les Stevens, aye, on a minor.
Bernie Mac's aye.
Mike Rocco, aye.
Mike Zwicker, no.
Aaron Sokrat, aye.
okay. Motion that it is a minor change has been passed. So it's a minor change. The board has declared it
Okay.
by vote that it's a minor change to the plans.
So
Now
now,
second.
discuss the merits of whether or not this change, you're going to allow the change.
Yeah, so we can certainly discuss the change. We might not even,
Correct.
we
Yeah.
can discuss it now, so.
It, I, through the chair, I think, it's everybody's personal take. I see both sides of this. I do, the school's got guardrails, you know what I mean? They break, it's apparent, you know what I mean? Other places have Jersey barriers around their propane tanks and around the parking lot areas. I get both sides, both arguments related to the building inspector. I understand his view. I understand Mike's view and stuff like that we did an initial, but I'll leave it up to the board what they feel.
You voted some minor change. I'd like to see the paperwork and a subsequent plan showing the minor change and placed in the file so that it's on record.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's all I have to say about it.
Can I ask a question? Do you want that before you vote, or you're willing to vote and then have that be put in the file afterwards?
Follow up, part of the as-built. With the final.
Yeah, I want to see paperwork and a plan showing that the change has been made, and we okayed it again.
Okay.
But we haven't okayed the change yet. We've just okayed that we can talk about discussing the change.
Yeah, that's, well, I'm okay with the change. If we do it, I want the paperwork and the plan.
Makes sense.
Yeah, definitely.
All right, so. There's a lot to take in. All right. Any other comments, questions, concerns with this matter on changing, or allowing the change from what was on the plan to update the plan with the current Jersey barriers as going forward?
Go for it, Jake.
No, I'm just, is there any other
Make a motion on this?
Yeah, you make a motion.
Acceptable as a change.
Can I ask,
Eve?
so, no, I don't have a comment on the substance, but I wanted to ask you again. So the plan that you want you want them to draw it up and restamp it with an engineer's stamp?
I don't know if they have to be stamped by an engineer, but I'd like to see that.
It's an as-built, reflected as an as-built.
Correct, as-built, reflected the change.
Right,
and
so
then
the
they can tie it
as-bills
to
are
the vote.
stamped.
Stamped by an
Correct,
engineer?
yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Stamped.
Okay.
And it would say, based upon the board's decision, that this change went in effect, blah, blah, blah. If the board votes in favor of it. If the board denies it, then it stays to the previous record.
Okay, so it should be a stamped as-built, so the engineer will have to put on there, okay.
So the applicant's requesting to make these changes, and I will entertain a motion to, if there is one, to accept the changes as requested.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the change as it currently stands, with the Jersey barriers as being a substitute for the wooden rails, and that's it. Make a motion to that.
Motion made by Aaron. Any second?
Second.
Second by Mike G. All those in favor?
No. Mike Zwicker?
Abstain.
I'll go around the table again. So motions are made by Aaron, seconded by Mike G. So,
Cool.
Les,
Want to do a roll call vote?
yeah, I want to do a roll
Yep.
call
Go
vote.
vote.
It's calling your name.
Yeah. Les Stevens, aye.
Ernie Mac's aye.
Mike Greco, aye.
Mike Zwicker, no.
Did it again, I'm sorry, I apologize. Aaron Sokrat, aye.
Tracy abstain.
So
Jay for abstain.
the motion,
Jake, you didn't give your opinion.
He doesn't need a vote.
It isn't.
yeah.
You don't vote?
Vote chair.
Majority's already been made.
Yeah, he
He
doesn't
doesn't need
need
to break
that.
a tie.
Really?
He's not breaking a tie.
The
He knows I don't vote.
motion has been
No, I
made
didn't
and
notice that.
seconded, and it was passed that the board is okay with the change to the plans. We can work on updating the plans and work with Eve on getting the packet all up to date on what was decided tonight.
Yeah.
He needs it.
Ken.
And Ken also.
Yeah. Honestly, I mean, we need to put it in the, I need to put it in the file, but you need to work with the building commissioner because ultimately he's got the final call that it's complete as required.
in a new set of plans.
Complete that the plan is
Just
in the
just
file.
bring you in an update.
Yeah, but he still has, I think there was, the certificate of occupancy was conditional on 2 items.
The certificate was conditional on finishing the paving and putting up the rail.
Right, so the paving, they agreed to postpone last week till the end of November, and now this satisfies that. Once you get that, then it satisfies
I
them.
believe they were asking for certified plans on the change to the barriers versus the rails.
Yep.
Good, yeah, a plan showing that it's going to be a Jersey barrier instead of a guardrail, and a letter addressing the issue.
Ron hasn't said
Yeah,
it, right?
correct.
That's all.
But you can't,
Very good. Congratulations on the opening.
you can't,
It couldn't be any better than on my opening day for
Yeah,
Mr.
right.
Fine. Thank you so much.
Good.
Thank you, guys, thank you.
So today was the first official day open.
Today was our first official
Awesome.
day.
Congratulations.
We did a very soft opening, of course.
Okay.
We're going to be doing a grand opening on September 30th, and we have some big plans.
Awesome.
And we already talked to the police chief, we already talked to the town manager, and he's all happy with it. Because you know I don't do anything unless I ask.
Because you're like looking for.
Yes.
Thank you, Teresa.
Thank you,
Good luck
guys.
going
Have a
forward.
wonderful night. Thank you.
I know what you're saying, but we've been, I mean, half of us have been on here for 10 plus years. So that's all we know. Okay, next item on the agenda, we are going to go to ASD Wallem Lake. Who is here for that? Well, I guess,
oh, we're skipping.
where's my,
Are we skipping
Yeah.
4?
we're
We are.
skipping. I'm the chair, I'm in charge.
And the
Don't
building
forget it.
commissioner is
Can I give
here
you my
also
agenda?
for Wallem Lake, so since he's here
Oh, okay, got it.
late, let him do both of them at the same time.
Okay, so 269 Wallem Lake Road, decommissioning fund agreement, possible votes.
Yes, hello everyone. My name is Andrew Chabot with Camp Energy, owner of ASD Wall.
Hi, thanks for being here with us. Ken, you want to get us up to speed on this?
Okay.
Are we even gonna do anything with this in light of the situation over there?
This is all stemming
That's why.
around the situation
Oh, okay,
on up there.
okay.
So as we stand right now with the Wallem Lake project, they're waiting for a sign off on their COC to get in line to get tied into the power company. Once they're tied into the power company, they're operational. The COC is being held up at this point because of the issues with the water problems down on Shore Road. The design intent, whether it was approved or not, doesn't appear to be working for the stormwater management at the site. We're getting tremendous washes coming down into Shore Road. Pipes have been changed and altered. Apparently, the design intent was to use 3 12-inch culverts that went across to drain the solar fields into Wallem Lake. One of the pipes failed, it's been changed, it's been going back and forth. I don't have jurisdiction on Shore Road. I have jurisdiction on 115, they have a building permit. I have jurisdiction on 269 Wallem Lake Road, they have a building permit.
You said 115.
115 Shore Road,
Okay.
they're building a house down there. This is probably part of the major problem with this is one of the 12-inch pipes goes down through the property where the house is being built. The pipe in the road, for whatever reason, who knows, got damaged. They have since replaced the pipe. Instead of doing 12-inch, they put in, I believe it to be a 10-inch pipe across the road, might be 8-inch, I don't remember. It's gone back and forth 100 times. Ultimately, with the pictures that have been taken, with the response from the DEP doing a site walk, and the damage that's occurring, from what appears to be the runoff from the solar park, there needs to be some engineering work done and potentially some type of mitigation to either change that detention system, slow the flow of it, complete the park more so that it's not going down and flooding out these people. There's basements that have been flooded, driveways that have gone, a tremendous amount of disrepair down on Shore Road. If you go down on a storm event, you can see the water flows that are being talked about and being videographed and everything else. There is a bond in place for the reclamation they're decommissioning, but it's also included in that with this letter I have here. It was for cost of potential Wallen Lake Road repairs, stormwater management erosion response, surety deemed acceptable to the board to cover it. So it was $100,000 cash money that was put into an account. I believe it's $120,000. At this point, what I'm doing, I'm holding the COC until we get some kind of mitigation on this. Otherwise, we have nothing.
Yeah.
Agreed.
Either
100%.
Wallen Lake Solar Park, at their expense, has got to come forward with some kind of a plan on what's going to happen with that, or the planning board can use that fund to find some source of mitigation for this problem.
So I don't recall, because it was so long ago, that there were 3 pipes and this was draining to Wallen Lake. This was never supposed to leave the site. That is not what was.
These are not retention ponds, they're detention ponds. They've got, I believe they're 4-foot diameter cylinders, concrete structures in ponds with approximately 3-foot by, I want to say it's 2-foot by 3-foot opening at the base of them. The water that's coming down off of the solar park is funneled through storm collars, or whatever you want to call it. I can't think of the word right now. But it's diverted down to get into these detention ponds.
Yeah.
And it's flowing out of that bottom outlet so that no water is staying in the pond. It was supposed to be designed for a 24-hour mitigation of the water going in there. There is no 24-hour mitigation. What comes down into those ponds flows out the backside, and they're actually generating new streams going through the woods. You can see it coming through.
So have we reached out to the peer review that did the original review and approval for us?
The original review and approval was done by TRC Engineering.
No,
When I requested that an engineer, revisit this and give me documentation, the documentation I got was copies of the original TRC review.
I don't believe we had a peer reviewer. I believe that Bill, as an engineer, did the review at the time. I couldn't find
All those
anything.
projects.
I couldn't
I
find
can't
anything.
remember, but.
I couldn't find anything in the file that had a separate peer engineering
And if I
firm.
might ask, COMCOM would have had a peer review also.
Yes, stormwater, and I recused myself out of that one.
Right.
If you guys don't remember.
No, I do,
With,
I'm just saying. But so there should, I know there's a peer review out there
Yep.
somewhere.
So through the chair, so 2 things. I believe, if I recall correctly, there was 3 existing pipes that were identified when they came before us that were already on Shore Road. So this was not new. They were supposed to hold all the water in the retention ponds. I believe it was either Leonard or Graves. I'm not sure which one. There might have been a third one, but or another firm that did the peer review. Bill specifically challenged the retention ponds' initial location and the size of those.
The first round originally got questioned.
We increased it as well as to make sure that each one of those pipes, should there be overflow or any situation with the water coming from those ponds whatsoever, that they would disperse evenly to those ponds, not to those pipes, not to push 80% of the water to one pipe. It was supposed to be a split. That's what I recall. I don't recall the firm that Bill used. I don't recall.
I'll find it in a couple minutes.
You suggested that the retention ponds aren't, the elevations are such that it's flowing out of those other pipes, which allow it to go into the lake.
So what's going on is you get your natural flow coming down through the solar field. Being collected in now what they've redesigned for 2 retention ponds. The original designs, because I've been back and forth through this, the original design showed 1 retention pond about the middle of the solar park base.
Right.
It was redesigned, they eliminated panels, they put a second one.
Right, I remember doing the
I'm
drawing.
going to say it's to the north side of the park,
On the, almost like on the outside of the solar panels
Yeah,
type
it's a
deal.
little dog
Yeah.
lake that comes down, and there's a retention there, or detention, whatever you want to call it, and then the major one in the center. Those are directed, or they're not in line with, but directed towards 3 pipes that cross underneath Shore Road. One crosses at or about 115 Shore Road, one crosses at or about 117, 119 Shore Road, and the other crosses down around 128 Shore Road. All 3 of the pipes going into the lake are receiving flow from that solar field. The major flow is hitting at 115 and the second one at 119. I haven't heard too much with regards to the third one down on the Rhode Island line.
Does it appear that the retention ponds weren't properly dredged, deep enough, that they're not retention, the elevation?
It's nothing about dredging, it's nothing about elevation. Yeah, but it's nothing about dredging, it's nothing about elevation, it's about the fact that no water stays in the ponds.
Yeah.
As fast as it comes off the field, it goes out of the pond.
Funnels right out.
So the,
No, it's because of the.
it's a material that's inside the pond and then designed to permeate the water.
It doesn't hold and allow it to come out in a timely fashion. Most detention ponds that I see are designed to drain in anywhere from 24 to 72 hours.
Yep.
Not to have a continuous flow that comes off of a parcel of land and goes right straight through.
So,
And that's what's going on.
so just through the chair, I did see the video. Steve Ziss recorded a couple good videos. If you guys, have a chance to watch them. I can best describe that, the video that I saw, that the outlet pipe for that retention pond is actually below the pond base.
Well, that's what I mean.
No, okay, below. I think the best thing for this, no, nothing whatsoever, it's a funnel that shoots out. I think the best thing for this board to do is, with Eve's help, is to find out who did Bill use to do the peer review, and get them involved to see what's there and what should be there. Because there's a gap at the end of the day, because, that's my view on it. I don't know the firm, but I do recall we were specifically about keeping the water on that site to manage it there.
Because it would be nice to get the engineer out there, because he's an engineer.
The peer
He sees
review.
it. He can look at the plan and say, hey,
Yeah.
the plan says you're supposed to do this. It's not there, so we kind of really should have that assessment.
And it would assist, in not speaking for Ken, but I believe.
Looking at the structure that's built, looking at the plans that were submitted, I am not a geologist.
Correct.
Right.
But looking at the 2 of them, it was built as designed. But there's phrases and terminology in here that say, even if it was approved and built as designed, if it's not doing what it's supposed to do,
It needs to be fixed.
this fund is going to take care of
Agree.
it unless they're willing to step forward and do it on their own.
Right.
Agree. And
I think my first thing to determine is, was it built as the plan showed? No, that's the first thing to determine on that.
Correct.
And then move forward from that point.
Agree.
Is the way to go about it, I think, before anything is done as far as, okay, now let's fix it. Well, was it built right the first time? And if not,
That's why I asked them,
right.
this probably 4 weeks, 5 weeks ago, I asked them, I said, I need a engineer review on this
Right.
to find out even if it's built correctly.
It's wrong.
Is it built correctly?
Right. Right, in other words, it can look good on the top, but what's it like a foot down?
But they would know who the peer review is because they paid for it, right?
Well, they funded the thing.
They
and
funded
it out.
it. They wouldn't know. Not necessarily.
So just through the chair, I think it would help Eve or someone in the staff office to talk to our accountant, one, to see what's left in the 53G account related to this project. And she might be able to pull past checks that were written to the firm.
Ledger and so on.
So there is $7.17 left in the 53G, as far as I could, I had this conversation already today.
Oh, would you?
53G, $7.17.
But he's saying just they could look historically.
Yes.
Find out, because would reference what.
I understand. So I basically have been looking at this information since 2 o'clock this afternoon, and I could be wrong, but I have come across a number of correspondence from the applicant's engineer it was responses to the staff engineer's comments. Now, that's not to say that Concom did not have a 53G peer reviewer, but I couldn't find anything in any of the files that I looked at that talked about an engineer's report, a peer reviewer engineer's report for the planning board.
Okay.
In addition to that, one of the findings that I found on the decision that the planning board made in April of 2019 was that the engineer and the engineers all agreed that there wasn't going to be any additional runoff from the site pre-build or so. The forested site and the solar park site weren't going to, the runoff wasn't going to be changed, therefore no stormwater management was required. But they did say, but just in case, we need the money to do it. And it clearly isn't working, so whether it's built correctly or not, it doesn't matter, it's just not working.
I got something on this here is, this might have been a project where I think we said, instead of COMCOM doing peer review, planning board doing peer review, we did it all under one.
Correct.
Reason being was, we weren't gonna peer review the same thing twice
Yep.
and double fold and everything else. So it might be tied in with COMCOM.
I didn't look there.
More than the planning board on that, where they were all tied together under one umbrella.
I think the biggest issue here
I think.
is not whether or not the site was built as per the plans. It's not working.
Correct.
So
But now-
we still can ask them, since they haven't gotten the certificate of completion yet, which they need, to please make it work, even though we agreed that you didn't need it, it
We want the
didn't work.
We wanted our engineer, the original engineer who reviewed it, to
Yeah,
go
it
out.
may be Bill, but
Yeah.
they do have a stormwater management report that's been submitted. So I think, number one, we need to get additional money in the 53G account.
Exactly.
Yep.
Number two, we need to have them rectify it immediately with a new plan. And we're not doing anything, we're not signing off on anything. It needs to be fixed as an emergency.
Now, can we stop them from going online?
Yes.
Yeah,
Okay, I just want to make sure that we have,
Yes.
Is that certificate of
that
compliance?
we can stop them.
yes.
COC, certificate of compliance, that
Yeah.
they need to have that from my electrical
So I emailed you the
inspector
tiny
to get
URL.
in line to
So you can look at all the
National Grid or
documents.
their
Bill must
utility
have known he was
supplier
leaving
Yeah.
at
to
9:23
tie
because
in
he
to start
loaded
generating and
everything.
transmitting.
They're not generating anything.
And it's
That was after the last
tiny
Right here under
URL, yeah.
stormwater on the site plan review permit, it says notwithstanding the approved stormwater design, any erosion or excessive stormwater flows emanating from the site unaddressed shall be grounds for a stop work order from the building.
Yep,
Good, yeah.
that's why we put it in there.
Okay, so what you want me to do is get more, we need more money for the 53G account and then get a peer reviewer out there to find out.
We'll find out who.
I would
original.
say-
Yeah, no, I understand. We're hopefully
Yeah.
we'll find the
I
same
don't-
peer reviewer.
I think it was Bill. I'm pretty sure it was Bill.
We gotta get Bill out there.
And Bill,
No.
Yeah,
But-
okay,
Bill
so,
would have never allowed that to be
No.
built in this happening.
Well, would Bill go out there for COMCOM's sake, for stormwater?
I don't
Wait,
care who, I don't
wait
care
a
who.
second.
No, I don't think it was.
Par.
Last
Was it
time.
Par?
no, Par was the one who did the decommissioning report.
Oh, consultant.
Yeah, they did,
Par.
they determined how much money needed to be in the decommissioning fund.
Okay, that was
That's what they
2019.
did. Yes, that's what
Yeah.
they
I
did.
remember that part. I wasn't here for like the design
I-
part.
Okay,
Yeah.
so essentially, either we can get the same peer reviewer if there was one, or get a peer reviewer if
Yeah.
there wasn't
Correct.
one, with 53G money to go out there to figure out what needs to be changed, and then ask the,
What they're recommending.
Yeah, the applicant should prepare a plan to
Yeah.
remedy the issue, which I think we
Yeah.
already know what the issue is. They could probably easily figure it out. And then they will have to pay a peer review
So we
to
can be-
double check them.
To make sure
Okay,
it's
so
installed.
And then to do the work.
So you guys are going to, so you are going to prepare a plan to remedy the problem, and then we'll have a peer reviewer double check that, and then you'll make those changes. Is that correct? Is that what?
That's correct. No, that's, what you're describing is completely unacceptable. So absolutely, we'll do.
What's unacceptable?
No. He's-
Things right.
Yeah.
So.
The water.
What I want to make sure on my side is that I have the proper items in place in terms of what we need to do. Who should I be corresponding with directly, either now or after this meeting, just to make sure that
You and-
we're fixing this? Is it Something in particular on the board?
Thread.
So it can be me, I'm Eve Tapper, for the time being. I am temporary, though, so I might be gone by the next meeting. CC, Ken Frazier, who's the building commissioner, and Jen Kuchar, who isn't at this meeting, but is the sort of the clerk of the works and will be facilitating the peer reviewer and the like. So put all of us on this, on an email, and once you have plans of what you want to do to remedy the situation, we will get a peer reviewer to review it, and once everyone agrees that's what needs to be done, then you guys can do that, and we won't have to tap into the money that we have in our account.
No.
And then Ken will be able to issue a certificate of compliance.
So
Well, once it's
Once it's built, yeah.
you'll need,
I just want to clarify, just because the intention of the agreement that I'd sent over to you, and that I'd been talking with Bill Cundiff when he was there almost 9 months ago, was I guess the intent was to incorporate the stormwater management plan into the decommissioning fund.
Yes.
And that way you all had some
protection.
some security there, protection that you could draw from the fund if you needed to, if there was a mishap like this and we couldn't come to an agreement to cure it. Obviously, we're going to do our best in every sense to cure anything that's going wrong with the project. Obviously, we're long-term partners with the town here. So we just want to make sure that we're on the same page, and that was the whole intent of that agreement. But it sounds like if we can go ahead and remedy this and get the plan in place and go ahead and work towards that effort, is that something that is not needed on your end in terms of having access to the fund for stormwater management?
First, name and address for the record, please.
Oh, this is Keenan Austin, and I'm in Denver, Colorado. I'm the manager of real estate for AMP Energy. I'm sorry, I should have introduced.
I think,
Yep.
I think that the fund still will exist, so in case this happens in the future. At the moment, we don't have to use the fund, and we can ask you to remedy it because you don't have the certificate of compliance, so that's sort of our stick to your, or carrot. But if it happens if it happens again in the future, we would obviously want to have a conversation with you, but if in fact you chose not to make those changes, then we would still have the money.
Right.
So I think it
Correct.
still needs to stay in there as
Oh, yeah, 100%.
for the future,
Yeah.
but we don't have to use it now because we're having this conversation and you've agreed to move forward.
Just-
The sense is that they're wanting to do this
Right.
well and get this done.
Right,
you know.
of course.
So just through the chair, a point of clarification. So you'll have to pay for the peer review on the improvements that you're making, as well as provide an updated set of plans for those changes and the peer review being done and approved. So when we've got to then, the updated as-built or the updated plans that correct this, has to be done with a peer review consultant, which is through our 53G account. So it is not part of the bond decommissioning whatsoever. That is in place post occupancy permit and stuff like that, should something occur, just so we're clear.
Yeah.
So,
That's very clear, thank you. And I think what Keenan was describing is that currently the decommissioning fund does not, as it's currently written, cover road repair or erosion, but in the future, I think what we was submitted was an attempt to make sure that that fund does cover that.
okay, so
Obviously, we're going to do what we need to do now to fix this.
we do have a letter, so what you're telling me is the letter was never signed. Is that correct? Keenan, you sent the letter, and it was never
That is
signed?
correct. I believe it was sent in December, and we have not had it signed.
Okay, so we will make sure that gets signed also. After this is all done, then we'll close the loop on that as well, so that the money will be available for that in the future. But we don't need it for now, because we're all on the same page that we're going to fix it beforehand.
Just through the chair, since you're adding in, what the initial agreement covered was the runoff and things like that. If you're adding in road repairs and things like that, it may increase that cash bond amount, so we're clear.
And if I may,
And
through
it
the
only
chair,
says Wallen Lake Road,
Correct.
so that's, so,
just
Yeah, it
so we
doesn't
all
say Shore
know,
We haven't signed it yet.
yeah.
they are taking over another solar project in town.
No, it's a different
Is it
company.
already built?
No, the one on Susan's,
Oh.
on Oak Street.
Oh.
AMP is gonna be taking it, right?
Okay. This,
okay.
So I'm just saying, so that, I mean, we're having troubles here on the first one. I hope we don't have troubles on the second.
That's why they want to be good partners.
Yeah, that's all. We're
They're
good.
free to do it.
Yep, thank you for your time, you know.
So,
Just bringing it up.
is the
No, I mean,
water infiltrating through the basin, through the material of the basin and coming out, or discharging from the pipes?
The water's coming through the pipe. I mean,
So can we close off that pipe, and then it would fill with a pool, like a pool?
I have another solar park,
Mitigate it
170
now,
West.
Yeah.
stop it from happening now.
Yeah.
I want to say I'm extremely disappointed. We stressed and stressed and stressed at every meeting to you people about stormwater management for this project. It was such a steep slope going into a lake with residents down below. And I'm really, really upset that this has happened, that all this damage has been done and that this
ongoing.
stormwater management system isn't working. It came up so many times at all our meetings that we had with you people. It was the main concern for most of us that this didn't happen, and it has happened. And I'm just really disappointed.
In the short term, can they, excuse me, Chair, in the short term, can they modify the outlets, these pipes? So if it's 12 inches, can they go to 8 inches?
We don't want to design it, but
I'll make a comment
Yes.
with regards.
They should do whatever they have to
blocking the
do to
pipe
mitigate
right
this
now.
right now until they get it straightened out.
This site that they're on developed is 33.57 acres, something like that. The site on 170 West Street is 67 acres. I've got twice the site and no headaches with it, with the same design. And what they did on the on the 170 West Street site is they blocked off during construction the bottom outlet to those risers, and they allowed the 4-inch diameter hole, which sits above that outlet, to be the mitigation of the water. Now, they have standing water in those ponds, which is not desired. They want them to drain. As they finish vegetating 170 West Street, they're opening it more and more. The only problem I've had through all of these storm events with double the acreage cleared is that they're getting the iron oxide out into the water. Other than that, I have not had a flooding issue. We had one storm event that it did go over their dam assembly, the overflow. But it was controlled. This water is not stopped or controlled in any way.
So can we request those outlet pipes be blocked tomorrow?
I will.
The
pass it on to
24-inch?
construction Manager tonight,
Yeah.
and we will work to get up there as soon as possible for tomorrow.
Okay, thank you. So we need
And that's
more
why I was
rain.
bringing up, Bernie, like you said, everything you went over. And then we got another one coming down the pike with the same, yeah.
Just through the chair, I think one of the other people that should be added to this email thread is Steve Ziss, since he's been involved.
Yeah,
Just for awareness, even if Steve's copied.
Well, we got an active
Yeah, we-
order.
I'm just,
There's an active order
Okay.
on the site.
okay.
I know, I
But
think
I
just wanna make-
there's always a question of whether or not, what jurisdiction planning board has and what jurisdiction
Yeah.
that Concom has, and we've been talking to him
Okay,
anyway.
okay. Just so Steve's aware if
Yep.
there's planning board
Anything
activity.
within 100 feet is Concom jurisdiction, and
This has
Overflow.
been an ongoing issue, and I've
Yeah.
been involved with it with Steve Zisk and
Yep.
everything. Conservation, as he keeps saying to me, we don't have anything to do with it because we're not within the 100-foot buffer zone of the wetlands.
we have an active order on the site, though.
Yes, he does, because he's brought the DEP into it now and gotten them involved because of the lake.
No,
The
but there
solar
was
park itself-
originally an active order. There still is an order
Well, yeah,
on the
solar
site.
park itself did their delineation to get, this- to maintain staying out of that 100-foot buffer zone.
They're not outside of it. They have an active order.
Well,
It's on the left side, and they came back and cut more trees. So I can look up
That's
what
when
the
Steve
order.
went back up there for the tree cutting only, he told me. It had nothing to do with any stormwater management on that site.
No, conservation is in charge of stormwater management. It's in our,
This is the other side.
I'll pull the order.
Yeah. There was a DEP one, because that's the reason why we did the joint stormwater calcs. So I knew both our boards were involved. I just want to keep Steve in the loop, what's going on. That's my big thing, is
I've been
communication.
CCing him, he's been CCing me on all the
Yep.
issues that have been going on with this.
Yep.
I just got to reiterate to the board, this is an ongoing issue that no resolution has been done.
I wish we knew about it earlier. I mean, this is the first I've heard about it.
Oh, no, this has been
Oh, it's-
July. July's been,
It started, the first major storm we had ended.
When's it come in front of us? When has it come in front of a meeting?
no.
It has not.
It has
Didn't know
not.
the source of
We
the.
did-
So,
They were-
so
they
it
were
hasn't,
still working
that's what I'm saying. I wish we knew about it earlier. I'm bringing it up. It has not come in this forum at all. This is the first time we're hearing about it in this format.
I agree.
I think the board
So-
was
Copy.
invited to go to the site walk.
Correct.
2 Thursdays ago?
Yeah, there's been some emails on it as well.
Let's see.
Okay.
0 Wallam Lake Road. Here we go.
Eve, I think.
So,
Yeah, I'm fine if you want to move on.
No, that's up to.
yeah, so the order of conditions was this is an ANRAD 0964 for BBW and Stream. And then I think they ended up filing something. But I thought I could find it. All right, so you guys are all set. We're not signing any decommissioning fund agreement. The estimates for that fund need to be updated also, so I think PAR needs to be engaged again to update those numbers. Including, you say that the Wallam Lake Road's in here. I didn't see Birch Hill Road.
The only road that's in here for their reparation was Wallam Lake Road.
Okay,
Shore Road, Birch.
so we need Birch and Shore Road in there too.
Yeah, in the
Jeez, I
future,
thought I was
I
having,
want to say,
I
stuff like this comes up,
thought I was wrong
please,
for a second.
get it on the board,
was right.
get in here. You know, I wish I would have known about it
Ooh.
earlier.
Here we go. DEP has a huge paragraph about hydrology calculations. And it's buffer zone, and the DEP number for the order is 0992. And they had very big concerns about the seasonal high groundwater, proposed detention basin locations, construction of the detention basins at locations that may intercept groundwater is not recommended, and the whole thing, detail sheets should be provided showing elevations of the basin outlets, calculations should be submitted to confirm the basins will drain.
This is on the Wallam Lake project.
This is the order of conditions for this project.
I'm sure Steve's been in touch with them too, so.
Well, they only got called because of Shore Road.
Correct.
So alternatively, the hydrology calculations should be revised using an open space cover type. I don't even know if this stuff. Many solar arrays in Massachusetts experience erosion problems during construction. Phasing of the project, extra erosion control measures, frequent monitoring are recommended to prevent erosion problems, particularly in areas with steep slopes, stony soils, or where panel configurations can cause gullies to form at drip lines.
Yep.
So it was predicted,
Yeah.
filed February 2020.
So,
So much concern
Yep.
over the ditch of the site.
so, well, the applicant's on the phone and they're willing to do,
So let's get the pipe closed up at least.
Okay.
hold the
All right.
water.
Thank you.
Sounds good.
We're moving
Thank you.
on.
I'm sorry, I want to make sure I have the email addresses of people we need to include. Is that found on the Douglas website?
Probably Jen and Ken for sure are. I probably am not, because I am only here temporarily. Mine is just E, because my name is Eve. E-T as in Tom, A-double-P as in Peter, E-R, and then at the Douglas-ma.gov.
Yeah, I think you were copied on one of the emails.
Yeah, exactly.
Recently, so-
Okay.
Yeah. So you should be able to find me, but if I all of a sudden disappear, it's because they've hired someone permanently, which is better for everybody.
Got it.
Thanks for coming in, you guys.
There's no disappearing.
Okay.
Okay.
Let's
Thank you.
take MS4 stormwater regulations. Nick. Do you want to bring us up to speed?
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes. Thanks for waiting.
Oh, my pleasure. Thanks for having me on. Yeah, so we presented back on, I think it was sometime back in March or something like that.
Yep.
To basically brief the board
What, 2 months?
on the requirements of the NIPD's MS4 stormwater permit. Should I run through real quick about what this whole thing is again, just to refresh everyone's memory?
So Nick, I recall the conversation when we talked about doing the downtown area map and versus the whole town for stormwater management, because our rural areas, right? We're not like a Quincy, you know what I mean? So I think we talked about more of the stormwater management that you're proposing was being more the downtown area restricted. Yeah, and that was about it. So I think, are we still on the same page?
It's entirely up to the board how you want to do it. There's no right or wrong answer to do it. The only thing I will say is that every single one of my other communities is doing this town-wide, partially because it is easier to implement. I mean, you just say everyone's in the town, if you disturb an acre or more, you have to meet all these different requirements.
We already tried that.
If you need to do it only in the urbanized area, then I'm not entirely sure how to do that from a regulatory standpoint. I don't know if we need to say like overlay district to say this is the area that it would apply or not. I haven't done that.
I through the chair, I think that's probably what we've already tried. I think pass this or there's a similar proposal, but there's also just a burden. If someone's trying to put a barn up that, and they've got 4 acres and they're disturbing an acre to put a horse barn, because we got a lot of horse people, then they've got to manage the storm water off their barn if they've got enough acreage or something like that. We've got the side setbacks and things like that. But I think I'd be more inclined if we had to adopt this, that would be more of a overlay mapped area where we've got a more of a downtown centralized area. My thought.
It was brought up before, we're going town-wide. The discussion, if I recall, amongst the board that was active back then, said it ain't gonna fly.
No.
So we weren't even gonna try to present it.
Yeah.
We looked at doing either an overlay or zoning areas or whatever to try to accommodate some of this, because we have a lot of it, I think, already in play. But we already, the vibe of the town from years past, it won't fly. So we want to try to make something that will work and that can be accommodating and fair to everybody.
Yep.
And
I think we've done that.
Yeah.
We've been working with them the last year, opening manholes and doing readings, and pretty much all the downtown area is done, and some of the outlaying area, and many of the detention points, at least the ones that were required to be part of the study. We've done all those already too, so I'd just like to hear what he thinks we've accomplished and what we need to accomplish, and because I think we're on the right page as far as not being fined and not getting into any situations where we're not meeting any of the regulations. I think we are pretty much on a way or a path to meet those regulations.
Just to follow, do we need to show a map? Is that what the end result? And so, does it have to be like an overlay or a map that someone can click on and say, oh, there's your MS4 map, you know what I mean, of the thing?
That is being done.
Okay.
We've been doing that.
Okay, so.
Let him give his presentation, I say, yes.
Yep. Please do.
This was kind of a two-part question, but the first thing I would agree with you that the town has certainly been doing a lot over the years, and I think you've made certainly great strides. I mean, you're cleaning your catch basins, you're sweeping your streets, we've been doing the outfall screening, et cetera, et cetera. Yep. Getting back to the bylaw and regulations, EPA really leaves it up to the town how to regulate the development within the town. All EPA really says is that you need to have a regulatory mechanism in place for regulated development that disturbs an acre or more within your urbanized area, then you need to do X, Y, and Z. So certainly if you want to just do it within your regulated urbanized area, that is 100% fine. It just depends on how the town implements that particular jurisdictional area. And I don't know the answer to that. I don't know, like, if you've done zoning districts, or if you need to talk to zoning board, if you need to talk to the town's legal counsel to weigh in on how best to do it. Just, legally, I don't know how you can say, okay, if you're within this area, you need to do this, and how you legally define that area.
Right.
That's the only thing I think that's holding up this whole process.
Well, it's no different than our water districts and stuff like that we have lines and stuff laid out within the town, where you go into a certain area, you trigger certain entities.
Yeah.
Like the aquifer.
Right, like aquifer and stuff, like it came across tonight. It's halfway through an industrial park. So it triggers it, because there's a line drawn where the aquifer is. Almost the same idea on this, I would think.
And I think Ernie's highlighted and educated myself that the town's been doing this. So maybe it's just having a formal map of saying, here's the area that we support and maintain.
So are these stormwater maps available as a layer on our GIS?
I'm not sure if they're all available yet. I know.
Where did we get this from? It was in our packet.
Yeah.
Was it?
Well, between the highway department and Adam Furno, and the company that we've been contracting with to do these.
No, really?
Yeah, Adam has most of the materials. So
Okay. So, and then from there, I think, all these, yeah.
Geolocated.
These are really great, I think, getting these and having discussions about these areas.
So do we need to designate an area? Nick? Do we have to have a,
Not on.
Say like an aquifer overlay district and those kinds of things. And if you have those kinds of similar districts, then I would strongly say yes, I would recommend you doing something similar for an MS4 jurisdiction.
Okay.
How does that get enacted? Is it through zoning? I mean, who has to develop these overlay districts?
It would all start here at the planning board.
Planning board, and then it gets reviewed by all the different
Departments.
but can we just utilize our existing zoning and say if you're in this zone? If we're doing the urbanized areas?
Because it's really tied to the urbanized area, the regulated area.
Yeah, it's
which is based
VB,
on the census data, which the EPA produces. But it's a simple GIS layer. It would actually be fairly easy to just give you that boundary and say anything within this boundary, if you disturb an acre or more, this bylaw.
Nobody has an acre downtown.
No.
But you can make
Be
it jurisdiction.
knocked down in like 3 months.
It wouldn't,
Urbanized.
what's the
Yeah.
point,
Urbanized.
though?
But it's satisfying the
Yep.
If somebody was to buy 2 houses,
Yeah,
might
smash 'em
come
down.
over and they come.
Yeah.
They're
I'm just saying.
20,000 square foot
Yeah,
lots.
but,
I mean, keeps talking
And
about
it's an
urbanized.
increase in
correct,
acre.
urban, so
Increase.
what we could do is, one, the maps that are currently here, right, to educate ourselves, we could work with CMRPC, if we can get these maps and just do 2 printed copies of what the zoning area we would do, like VR and VB, whatever, and CB, whatever, and see how these overlay on each other. And if the zoning covers that, that would be one way proposal.
There would be no purpose. Yeah.
I'm not so much sure that it's based on what zoning districts, then it's based on where the drainage is and where it's going. Your stormwater management that's flowing to the river, or, where stuff is being collected. So most of it that's dumping into waterways is downtown area.
Yep.
Correct.
Urbanized, right,
Yep.
exactly. And those are probably the most highest risk for pollution. And all of the
Yes.
studies that we've been doing and all the work that we've been doing has been based on our town's drainage system that's going to the Mumford River and other areas that is stormwater being managed in those areas.
Right, so I'm
We've been
saying
looking at-
shortcut it for the mapping purposes.
Yeah, for mapping.
For mapping
Just
purposes.
Our
use
drainage
words.
system and where it's going
Yeah.
and what we are dumping into the rivers and
The other alternative, if we didn't do a zoning map area for this regulation, right? That's one option. The other option is, based upon what's been put together here with all this information here, is then getting CMRPC just to load that as an overlay that maps up currently with what we're maintaining, to Ernie's point, what the town's already gone through and done the work
And
in.
just show a big picture of the
Sure.
whole entire map.
Yeah, so when you click on that button, it shows the MS, and that's what
As an
we
overlay?
of an overlay.
I mean, what we've been trying to do is just make sure we're keeping ahead of it enough to conform with what they are regulating, so that we don't end up being behind.
Exactly. So what I was saying was because this is probably already on a mapping setup, that we could almost establish it as a
Yes.
checkbox overlay and go from there. The only thing I was asking was, let's do a comparison of what this map looks like compared to the zoning area. And then you could see, well, if one's smaller than the other, one's bigger than the other, and then what's the comfort level of the board, and the people, you know what I mean? Then you could tie it to a zoning if you wanted to, or you could just say, no, we're going to do it as an overlay. That's all.
Yeah.
But then the overlay would have to extend, because then you're only covering that small portion. So it's actually, you're looking at the land around it, that's why you're not affecting the 1 acre. So you would have to expand all those locations
Yeah, until we looked at
to
it.
much larger, to probably,
You're going into your subdivisions where you have retention
acre-ish.
ponds and detention
Yeah.
ponds, and where the drainage is going from there, and, yeah, you would keep getting larger.
yeah, you would really just like cover the whole town.
Right.
If
And
you've
that'd
got
be great thing to
this
do.
on the
But it's
outskirts.
a phase thing.
But, I mean, the money's one thing, and, finding the funding for it, but I just want to make sure we understand that what we have to do, we'll prioritize what we have to do to make sure that we meet the criteria for being
But
in
if
good standing with them.
Yeah, if the criteria is to simply develop an overlay to protect the majority, and we only do the downtown, which is, say, VB,
Yeah.
then we're already making our best step forward, and maybe we miss a couple subdivisions and stuff.
Because there is no other real drainage unless you got a, I mean, there's no,
Especially
it's
the
like the town's
pollution
living
part.
with, sewer systems and everything else, it just doesn't exist.
So maybe we just focus and bring that to town meeting and have it be based on the downtown zoning, and then if we really feel like another section, then we add another section.
Can it work out that way? Going that way with it?
Is the overlay district encompasses the entire regulated urbanized area, then yes, I mean, that would be the requirement. I don't know what the different.
Urban.
I don't know what the downtown overlay
Regulated
district is, but all you are required to do under the MS4 is regulate any development that disturbs an acre or more within your urbanized area.
Right, well, the downtown area we talk about is because that's
our only
the only place that has sewer, that has storm drain.
Yeah.
There is no other storm drains in town.
It lays out that way. Our urbanized area is the only place that has a storm drains.
Yeah.
It's the only area with,
That's how rural we are.
really.
It's a no-brainer, kind of.
No, I mean, your subdivisions and everything all have drainage
The
systems too.
By the
Those
self.
are rural.
But they're all self-contained
rural.
too.
in the rural.
Stormwater and
They're
Yeah.
a self-contained system.
Dumping in the rivers.
There are outlying areas that, like, up by the reservoir
But he's
and
used the
other
word
brooks and
urbanized,
streams.
and I think if we just go with that, I mean,
Yep.
it sounds like it's a good fit.
Yep. Nick, is there any funding that you guys provide? Part of this, for this updating of our maps and stuff like that?
Contract in place, I mean, we can support you guys as possibly as we
Not
can,
for free.
From a consultation basis,
from a consultation basis, yes.
Oh,
not money outflow.
jeez.
They don't have the 53.
They're not gonna write the town a check once we adopt it?
Slightly, the only thing I will caution you a little bit about this approach is that the urbanized area, since it's based on the census data, your urbanized area will change once the new, will probably change once the new census data is crunched, whenever that will be.
Okay.
We'll wait till after that comes out to do it.
Yeah.
There we
What-
go, we're waiting for the census.
What city are you in? What city are you in?
Auburn, New Hampshire,
Okay,
but we work with,
Okay.
I work with 20-plus communities in Massachusetts.
all right. Yeah, because when you say like an urban area in Douglas is maybe like 2 blocks this way and 1 block that way. That's urban.
The
So,
town I live in is smaller than Douglas.
Okay.
And it also has an urbanized area, so I 100, trust me.
Okay.
I 100% agree with you. My downtown area, downtown,
Yep.
has a small gas station and a pizza place and.
Just one?
only one pizza place?
That's
We got your beat.
That's it.
Do you guys have a traffic light?
No, we do not.
One up on you
When
there.
they-
I don't know if we call that a traffic light.
One up, yeah, okay.
I don't think we can call it a chocolate, like that blinks.
Blinkers, they're just blinking lights, that's all. So how do you think we look and how do you think we stand on all this?
I think you're in really good shape, other than having your regulations in place. And, I mean, I will say that you're not alone in not having your regulations in place. There are plenty of other communities that don't have them in place. My only caution is I will say that EPA has indicated that they really are looking for these regulations to be in place, like ASAP.
Yeah.
So I don't want to say, you know, that I'm not going to say that they're going to come fine you if they're not in place, but I'm also not going to say, well, they're not going to come fine you.
Right.
If I had to guess, you know, you may get a consent order or something like that to get these things in place over the next X months, but.
When does the census do out?
Communities have.
2025?
In place. I mean, that's just the way it is right now.
All right.
And also,
I think
we,
we've made significant
yeah,
progress over the last year or so.
We just gotta get that.
we also need to get something that will be a positive vote at town meeting. So we need, the appetite of the town is less regulations from the last time we tried to get it past the town meeting. So we also need to balance that of what the people want here.
But if we focus on,
No, I'm just saying that's what we're up against. So if we can come up with this great plan, but it gets voted down at town meeting because it's too broad
we've done
of,
our job.
yeah.
Townwide, they want to pay.
It doesn't
fine.
matter.
It doesn't matter.
No.
Yeah, so
I mean,
I'd like to see what Adams,
even if it gets.
If I might chime in, I just was gonna say that I think if you just have to approach and say, you know, listen, residents of Douglas, we really and truly are doing the bare minimum to meet this unfunded mandate as put down by the federal government. And, you know, we need to get this in place. We've done all we can, and we really think this is the best way forward to meet these regulations without being unduly onerous on the town and development, et cetera, et cetera.
Right.
Okay.
The overlay district would be a good approach, I mean, because I know this has been shot down previously at a town meeting.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think, you know, to do this is probably a good fit for the town.
Those are the three
Thank
key
you
words,
so much.
unfunded mandate.
Yeah.
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 And there's no getting out of doing this. If we don't do it,
Yeah.
we at least
It'd
show
be
that
ne-
we're making an effort to do it.
Correct.
We will get fined.
Yeah,
We're
So
making
we
an
gotta tell that to
effort.
the people.
We're
Yeah.
making an
It's
effort.
plain and simple as that.
and if you could,
It's not like we can't do it, or we can say no.
no, we can make an attempt, again, I'd like this, maybe,
Okay, so spring?
yeah, but, yeah, spring, I would like to turn around, and maybe use CMRPC, and then wherever Adam got the files from, align with CMRPC, so they can actually present like an overlay map of what is there we're currently supporting,
Yeah.
and then we can look at the districts and see
Figure out what's the
the lesser of the two.
organized area.
Yeah, yeah.
Sounds good.
And then if you could fund this, Nick?
We should thank Adam for all the work that he's done.
Yeah.
Adam has put in a significant
Thank you, Adam.
hours and
Yep.
time and
Yep.
running around
Yep.
Yeah.
doing all this. He really has.
Yeah, Nick, if you can give us some incentive, you know, talk to DEP about sending us some incentive to pass this at town meeting,
Grant money.
grant money, so.
But
All right.
I think it does need to start moving
Yeah,
forward
we
a
gotta move
little bit more,
Yeah,
where.
So
Keep it on our
let's be
agenda.
prepared and we'll have it ready for spring.
Yeah.
keep it on our agenda, and
Have
let's
to
just
say
keep,
that we're gonna schedule it for the springtime meeting.
Yeah.
I think we
And
should
that's
have
the end of the story.
spring.
yep,
Yeah,
We'll just copy the last one and modify the words.
right.
Yep.
And have a decent overlay map or whatever,
Yeah.
so
Right.
people can say, this is what we're talking about.
yep,
Yeah.
that's what it's
Area
needed,
here. So everybody knows what's really going on.
yep, that'd be right. I think that's the way to go. I think we keep it on our agenda. Well, just so it's, or fresh somewhere,
We'll see. We can put it under future agenda items.
future agenda items. So it's still,
Just needs to stay on there.
correct.
Just to close out real quick, I mean, we're working on an annual report that's going to EPA by the end of this month, which documents all the work that the town has been doing over the last year as part of MS4. And so, we'll basically document that, we met on this back in March, we met on it now. I mean, Douglas, you guys are the only community that I'm aware of that put this up for a vote for town meeting that it was shot down. So that's a consideration, that should be a consideration on EPA's part, that the town has been working to do this, and now it's kind of come back because, well, we got shut down the first time, so. We'll document progress.
We'll try again.
So,
Tell them to take the word mandate out of it, and we'll do a lot better, probably.
Nick, could you send a copy of that letter that you send on to the EPA for their report? Can you just send it to our board? For our records and our files? That's all.
Appreciate that.
Yep.
Would you like to see it before it goes in, or do you very
Could
not
we
that
add stuff?
concerned with it?
No.
We don't need it.
No.
We don't,
No, we trust you.
yeah, no, we don't.
No.
Thanks, Nick.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
All right, appreciate it.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Back to subdivision monuments.
So Tuesday, I met before the selectmen. They were moving 2 of the 4 articles forward. The monuments is one of them. I explained about the timing. They also were moving forward with the rezoning of the Manchog property, in that area, that rezoning for the restaurant.
Yeah, what are we rezoning up here?
The old True Value.
With the hardware store?
Yeah.
Okay, and what are they?
Proposing like a restaurant to be used in that spot. We're not rezoning
It's
the
not rezoning, you're
area.
changing
It's the
the
table.
table
The table.
to allow a
The
restaurant by
use
public.
The use table.
Use table.
The use table.
It was not a rezone.
Not a rezone.
It's
Sorry.
allowing the
The
use.
use table.
I saw the conversation, but I didn't catch the whole thing at this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's PB or permitted.
Correct. So the select board didn't receive it in time to review all 4 articles. I did explain the fact that we went through and we cut the list down from, I think it was, again, adding in Bob's there. 5, plus Bob's is 6.
Yeah.
But we initially, and that cut down to 4, right? So the accessory apartment we didn't do. Overall, the meeting was good. I think I got to go back in 2 weeks to talk about the other 2 articles. The frontage, the lot frontage exemption that we talked about with which happened up on Caswell Court.
Yeah.
The changes of that. They didn't understand some of the specifics related to that, just because they didn't have a time to review it and stuff like that. So the monuments are going forward on the warrant. So is this other article that came before us as well.
We're 12.5?
Yeah. 25.
No, that's a 12.5.
No, we asked for 25,000.
25 double.
Yeah, that's the old one. That's the
Mike.
old warrant
Okay.
Yeah.
article.
Remember we bumped it up twice.
What was in?
The last
Did they
one,
go
yeah.
for it?
Yeah. The only thing that came back was the fact of they felt it was coming in late since we knew about this and we tried to get it in for the spring. It was timing and staff. At the end of the day, we didn't have the staff.
Well, they should know that. I
Well-
mean, they're selectmen. They know, if they don't know what's going on here, then there's a problem.
They weren't.
Sorry.
They weren't aware of the pains related to our shortage of staff. They weren't aware of that pain.
They're not aware.
So they also wanted our meetings to be done in 2 hours. So
Okay, so
Yeah.
we're already at 11 minutes over.
yeah.
It's all right.
So do we?
So we need to
want-
find out if these have been done? Is that what they're asking for?
No, I don't know what that is.
Need to confirm if these have been done.
No, we don't know.
Okay, so I don't know who put this in our packet, but I believe my last conversation with Mr. Cundiff was that Andrews Engineering did the last rounds of bounds, so we could talk to Byron Andrews. I think they were awarded it. There was
Yeah.
3 or 4 companies that bidded on it. So Mr. Andrews, Byron Andrews can provide what subdivisions they did and how many bounds they put in, and then we can, if this list has to be updated, we'll update it accordingly. That's all.
Okay.
All right.
Great. Awesome.
Okay.
Do we want to do any meeting minutes?
Nope.
Ernie, how do you spell your name?
got one.
There's no A in it, right? Ernest? It's
No.
ERNEST, right?
Correct.
Okay, so all meeting minutes need to be revised to
Why, is they
reflect
spelling my
Ernie's
name
name.
wrong?
Yes, multiple weeks.
You versus
Like
me.
like earnest money deposits.
Yeah.
So,
Oh, funny.
and then I don't have an E in my first name, so it's just TRACY. So I saw the the one that we just got tonight. I looked at it for a second.
Yeah.
Yeah, ERA.
But if we
Well,
want-
No, there's no
This-
way.
this one,
Take
there's no
the A
E.
out.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's correct.
Yes.
And then there's like multiple,
Cool.
the next page, I think.
Then they changed it and
Yeah.
put it wrong again?
All right here.
Oh,
There.
okay.
Okay. That's it.
Do we want to vote on the minutes that we got tonight or hold them?
I don't
Hold.
know. What's our minute, guys?
Want to look
say?
at the minutes, Mike?
Mike needs a little more runway.
What do you
He's
think, Mike?
sleepy.
This-
Yeah. He just
I
got.
haven't looked at
He
it.
has looked at it.
Okay.
All right, he needs a little more runway.
We'll just hold
We'll
those.
hold him.
Let's take a quick peek.
Hold them till next meeting.
Hold him next meeting. No rush.
No.
And August 26th.
Mike is pretty good on the review.
Oh, no,
minutes.
this is from, yeah.
Is that my stuff?
Okay.
What was the date on those mini minutes?
Do you have a sign file?
The only
No,
ones you have
nothing
left
to sign.
are the 26th of August.
Yeah, so
We were all
all the,
caught up except the ones we're missing.
okay, so all the rest of these need to be taken off the agenda. Meeting minutes. The 5:13, 5:27.
I'm actually working on them.
Okay, cool. Excellent. Thank you.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so there were some that were missing.
Oh.
All the ones that you approved at the last meeting have been taken
Yep.
off, but there were some that we didn't even have a draft for because they got lost
Right.
somehow.
Oh,
working on it.
okay.
5:13.
Okay. So 5:13 you started with?
Excellent.
Okay, all right,
Excellent.
okay.
All right, cool.
Upcoming meeting 9:23. Anybody else want to say any fast sentences?
Do we have anything to sign?
No.
Sign voucher? Yay.
John left me a note.
Welcome to the
nothing
board.
sign.
Well,
Yep.
welcome to the gang. I
I'll
have to say.
entertain a motion
Mo-
to adjourn.
I'll make a motion.
Right after tonight.
Second.
Motion made by Jake, seconded by Les. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. Thank
you.
you.